Before we dive into today's episode, I have something truly special to share. Next September, I'll be leading an intimate women's retreat through the south of France and northern Italy, and you're invited. Picture this: mornings exploring the colorful markets of the French Riviera, afternoons sipping wine, and a hotel view with golden Mediterranean sunsets. Whether you love photography, food, or just want to reconnect with your playful creative self, this trip is designed for you. Spots are limited, so if all this sounds like your kind of adventure, please visit tourwithabsolutely.com and look for the tour France and Italy with Crystal. You can also send me a message or check out the show notes. So welcome to the show, Caroline. How are you today?
I'm good. How are you?
It's great to chat again. We had a lovely coffee this morning and I got to learn all about you. So thanks so much for chatting with me today.
I know, it was great. It's nice to start the day and end the day with you.
I love it. So we're going to talk a little bit about your life, your work, but I always like to start with where you're from. You're a local Parisian.
Yes, I'm Parisian born and raised.
And talk about that. What is it like to grow up in Paris? I know so many people dream of that.
You know what? It's funny that you say that because I've lived most of my life in Paris, but I don't really tell myself that I'm a Parisian. I feel more citizen of the world because I've been living in Australia for 5 years and I've traveled in quite a few countries. And I have to say, I've got this very English, American, Australian mindset with the French Parisian flair, I would say. Growing up as a Parisian is just, well, for me, it was completely normal, and I didn't really see Paris as an amazing city because when you grow up and it's your, I'd say, where you've always lived and it's feel normal. And I think it's when you get out of Paris and you travel and you come back that you realize how lucky you are to have been living in Paris for so many years because of the beauty, because of the history, because of the creativity, because of all the playground that is offering Paris to people and places. And this is just amazing. But you have to, I mean, for me, I had to leave Paris, come back and realize how lucky I was and I am to be Parisian.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. I feel like sometimes when I'm here for months on end, I'm like, oh gosh, I need to get out of the city. Like I'm tired. And then I travel and I'm like, oh, I miss Paris. So it's like the grass is always greener, but it's so true. I mean, it's one of the most beautiful cities. And as we noticed this morning in our talk, there's so many creative people and so many connections to be made here. It's just a great place to be as an entrepreneur, as an artist. Like there's so much going on.
Yes.
And so you're a creative coach among many other things that we'll talk about, but talk a little bit about your creative coaching and your approach to that.
Okay, so creativity has been like something very core to everything that I'm doing and everything that I've been doing for years. So I worked for, I'd say, 15 years in communication and events agency. So my work was to sell ideas to brands. So I needed to be creative. And I was, and I am. But I realized that I was doing, and I'm still doing, so many rituals that I thought were completely natural. And I realized a couple of years ago that they were not natural and that all the people were not doing that every day. And that's when I deep dive into the creativity concept, what it meant to me and to others, how you can have a more creative life, and how it's opening doors for you in your daily life, I would say. I really work on what is creativity as a mindset and how you can embrace your creative soul and your creative power, your creative energy on a daily basis. So it's not really just about work or just about personal life or just about with your kids or whatever. It's just as you are, like living a creative life and don't even bother on what it means to you, creativity, because we've got so many definitions of creativity. But yeah.
Talk a little bit about those rituals that you'd been doing for years, thinking that everybody was doing them.
Well, I think my two main rituals, I've got a couple, but two that I want to share with you today. The first one is my encounters. So I'm made up my encounters and my experience. My encounters, so what I do, I love meeting new people. So I made it a habit, and it's a creativity habit. To stay creative and inspired every day, I decided to take one coffee with a stranger per week. So this has been going on for 15 years now. I mean, more, because I'm saying 15 years, I think 16 or 17, but anyway, more than 15 years. So every week I send out a message to someone that inspired me for, I don't know, his project or her company or book that she released or whatever the subject, but there is something that got out of my interest, and I reach out to them, and usually like maybe 99% of the time they say yes, and I take a coffee with them. And this is just amazing what you don't know what's happening. You don't know what can happen over a cup of coffee. Actually, I don't drink coffee, but chai tea. So this is a first one that I really value. And this is what we did this morning. And each time when I'm meeting those new people, I'm asking some questions or I make them draw. So that's one other ritual. And I ask always the same question, and they answer with a drawing. So that's something that I love to do. And the conversation and where you end up is gonna be a starting point for some of the projects you're doing or ideas that might rise just after the coffee. Or anyway, you just don't need, you don't have any expectation because that's the way it is. And then you see how magic happens over meeting new people. So that's one. And then another one is experiences. So I do love doing things for the first time. And I do love asking the question, when is the last time you did something for the first time? And that's when I ask this question to people, like the first reaction is like their eyes like pop in and just go up, looking at the sky, and they've got like kind of a sort of a, not a panic attack, but they're thinking about it and they say, oh my God, like I've got no idea. And you know what? You're doing more first time that you actually can record. But that's, so experiences, it could be creative, it could be sportive, it could be travel, it could be a workshop, it could be anything, but just doing something for the first time, a restaurant, a tasting, a sports class, whatever. But I like to do first timers and to mix and match different sort of experience.
I love that idea. Like you said, trying something different all the time is like making it change the way our brain works, get out of routine. I think it's so important. And coming back to your coffee dates every week, talk a little bit about the drawing. So you make everyone draw what together means to them or belonging. So what are some of the responses you've gotten from people about what it means to be together or to belong? What are people drawing? What are people saying?
Well, that's been really interesting, and it's a great way. So I use creativity to connect to people in a different way. Asking people to draw is a first way to make them share stories differently. It's another point of view. And the first thing they do is actually look at me and say, oh my God, Carol, I can't draw. I'm really bad at drawing and blah, blah. So there is this first reaction where it's kind of, oh my God, I don't know how to do that. And then when I say, because it's always 1 minute, it's very spontaneous. So there is no right and wrong. And then after they get into the flow. And the responses, you know what, it really depends. But we've got some, I can say that a lot of people are drawing a sun. So sun, people together. So a few people in the same drawing. What do I have? I have hands, like shaking hands. I have conversations that come up a lot. I have houses, and they think about their family members and how this family base is very important for them, the togetherness. I have a lot of love and hearts, of course. And sometimes I've got like really original way of people responding to that question. And you know what? The guideline is quite simple, but I witnessed that every person understands the guideline differently. And that's to itself, it's creativity. It's not just like hearing something different. No, it's the way they adapt to the guideline and make it their own. And I feel like it's an amazing playground to witness those reactions and drawings and stuff.
Yeah, I think it's really funny that you were saying one guy drew a cemetery and it's like, we're even together at the end, so
Yes.
like you said, it's different for everybody.
And you learn really important stuff from people. Instead of asking the usual questions, where do you live? Do you have kids? Where do you work? I mean, I'm not saying those questions are not interesting. They are, but maybe they can come like towards the end of the conversation. And even if I don't know if you have kids, well, maybe it doesn't matter. And actually making them draw about the concept of what it means to you, belonging, the sense of belonging. For example, my father, so I'm supposed to know really well my father. And I made him draw, and my mother as well, actually. And he drew a church. And I was very intrigued because I've never been to the church with him. And this is not part of our life rituals. And growing up, he hasn't really educated me with the church and everything, and religion is really out of our lives pretty much. So I was very interested in the story that he would share with me. So yeah, it's just a great way to connect with people like differently.
Yeah, I love that. Like making people show a different part of themselves, like you said, just not like, oh, what do you do? What's your family? Where do you live? Like getting out of that like commonality questions. And as a creative coach, I'm sure you see some common issues when working with people. What are some common problems that people have or want to fix when it comes to creativity?
Okay, so there are lots of limiting beliefs in terms of creativity. So what I see and why I'm so passionate about trying to resolve some of the issues is most of the people are not thinking they are creative. So they're very ashamed, and they don't embrace, and they don't say, I am creative. They say, no, I'm not creative at all. I don't even know what it means. Or they know what it means, but they consider creativity just a playground for artists and designers. So they've got lots of limiting beliefs, including I'm not good enough, I'm not inspired enough, I'm not ready, like all of those things that are blockers to their creativity. And on the other side, because I'm working with a lot of companies, so I'm working with businesses and corporations, the top management of companies tend to need and put pressure on their teams to be more creative. So, and when I ask them, what do you put in place for people to be more creative within your organizations? And they've got trouble to answer me. And this is not something I point out, but it's just like there is a gap in between people that don't feel creative because they're not connecting connected to their creative energy, and the top management that want them to be creative. But there are no tools, or very few, and there are no rituals, and there is nothing in between. So I am trying within companies and corporates, startups, and anyone that really wants to put the creativity culture back into our daily lives within work and no work, to work on that. And I'm doing workshops and everything. So it's just a matter of helping people reconnect to their creative energy with some tools. My workshops are very participative and very, very much into action.
I like that. Yeah, we need to like get moving, take action to really unlock anything. It's all about starting and doing things. So it makes sense that would be a part of it. And coming back to together and belonging, we talked a little bit about this morning, but when it comes to creativity, why is it important for people to come together?
Okay, so creativity, when it's not shared, it's not going anywhere. So that's one of my beliefs. And you need to belong to feel alive. And to feel alive, you need to tap into your creativity. So I would say creativity, belonging really works together to be able to have to create a more a world more human and going into the right direction. So I really believe, and that's why most of my experiences are as a collective, as teams. I start doing now individuals, but it's more, all of my work is like team or collective work, because there is something quite magical when different people come together to reflect, to think, to play. Play is a very important word within all my workshop. And I try to make people travel. I've got maybe one intention in all my workshops is to make people travel from their head to their heart. And it's probably the longest journey, but when it happens, it's got something magical. And when you do it together, the results are even higher.
Yeah, I love that. Like coming together and from the head to the heart. I mean, that's so hard for all of us. And what would you say to people that they want to find community, they want to find belonging, but they don't know where to start? What advice do you have for like looking for community or, ways to connect with other people?
So I would advise, so I wrote a book, but it's in French, about how to find your people and the sense of belonging and everything. And what I advise is, because spontaneously you would say, how do you meet new people? And before meeting new people, I would say first, know yourself a bit more. And what I mean by that is, just put down all your different playgrounds, your interests, and your values. Because for me, that's the starting point of any community you want to build or any people you want to meet. If you're not clear on your interests, what's important to you in your life, your values, and everything, it's very hard then to go to the second step, is to meet people. Because you want your people to, of course, be like great add-on to your life, but they need in some way to share some values or some interests or some experiences or anything. They don't need to be alike, because otherwise that would be so boring. But you need to have like this first work, I'd say. And then how to meet people? Well, you've got so many ways. So we live in Paris, and that's true that Paris sometimes it can be intimidating, especially Parisian. Like I'm Parisian, but sometimes they can be a bit rude and not very open-minded. I'm very aware of that. So a few things that you can do. Nowadays, there is this amazing startup called Time Left. And what they do is every Wednesday, you can attend a dinner with 6 other strangers. So that's amazing. So you just subscribe. And then you pay for your dinner, and you can have 4 dinners a month. So once a week on Wednesday. It's always on Wednesday. You don't need to do anything, just like log on to the app, and then you answer like lots of questions, and then the algorithm just match you with a nice bunch of people, 5 of us, because it's 6 in total. So that's a great way to meet people. Otherwise, if you are clear on your interest, if I'd say, for example, you're very into sports or running, you've got some running events, so people, and it's all free, and you just run with people and then have a drink afterwards. If you are into, I don't know, photography or anything, or wine tasting, you've got some wine tasting, of course, within your neighborhood, and it's a great way to meet people talking about what you love. So I think that's the first good way of meeting new people.
Yeah, I completely agree. My friend did that app Time Left, and she loved it. She's just having a great time on it. And we find that people are usually friends by proximity. So your neighbor, who you sat next to in class or university, but it doesn't necessarily mean like you're going to have a lot of values or common interests. It's just because you were near them that you befriended them. So like you said, like seeking out people who have common interests, who have common morals, like that's more interesting for people. And what would you tell people to do that are feeling like they're in a funk or feeling unmotivated, like a creative funk? What's something that people could do to get motivated again?
So I've got a few tips, one of which is start a side project. So whatever you do in life, you might be good in your workplace, or it might be something you want to change, or anyway. So just putting the work aside and just start a side project. So what it means is something that you're gonna spend time on, and it could be just maybe 1 hour a week, and that could be enough for some people, or even 30 minutes. But just have that side project, and it could be anything. So I'm sure when you started your podcast, it was maybe not something you would think that 4 years later would be still on, and it might have been a side project, which is now like quite a big project within your life. So just a side project is something you're passionate about. You're going to spend some minutes, hours, sometimes days, and that's going to refill your energy and connect to your inner fire, and you're going to be in action because that's something you chose. Because for the people, and it might not be the case, but for some people, they're not well in their work situation, and they've got some frustration maybe. So if they can't really move or make that step out of their work, they've got this side project. And starting this, then it's going to add up, and you're going to meet some people, or maybe do some action, and being in the action mode and being into tapping into your creative power will help you eventually to get the fuel back and invest in what you want to do later.
Yeah, I completely agree. It's just like stepping into action, following those creative whispers about what you're interested in, and then just seeing where it goes from there. And what creative resources do you use when you're looking for inspiration? Are there certain places you go, certain things you do when you want, other than these coffee dates and doing something new every day? Are there other places you use to find inspiration?
Okay, so inspiration is within my readings. It's within new rituals that I try to implement. For example, at the end of last year, I thought I needed some fresh energy, some fresh inspiration, and I was like, what should I do? And there is so many things. So I wanted to pick something and to add something to my ritual every day. I wanted to start the year in a different way than last year. So I started thinking, and then I thought, well, you know what? There is this famous, I don't know how it's called in English actually, calendrier de l'Avent. It means the little window you opening each day, and you've got a chocolate or a surprise or whatever. So during like 25 days, you've got like a little surprise every day. So I thought, you know what? I want to have the same surprise and spark in January. So to get inspired myself first and then inspire others if I can, I started doing le calendrier de l'après, which means there is a before and after. So this is the after part. So to start the year in a sparky, energetic way, I will every day share a tip and tricks to get more creative every day. So each day I need to come up with an idea. So I've got some already, of course, but I need to be creative myself and to search and to read and to come up with new ideas every day to share with people. So first, it's a very personal exercise that I put in place for myself, and then I share it to the world. So it's a nice way to implement a ritual, to be in action, and just to take small steps, because I really value the fact to be in action and to take small steps. And it's been inspiring me the last 6 days, and I think it's going to continue for the whole month.
I love that idea. I think in English it's called an advent calendar, is what we call it.
Okay.
Yeah, I never can wait till the day I have to say those chocolate calendars are so delicious. I'm like, oh, great,
Yeah.
it came early. So how would you define creativity in your own words?
So creativity, I would say creativity is a playground. Creativity is your soul being alive. It's your hidden gem. Creativity is our vital source and force, actually. It's like taking care of yourself. I always say taking care of yourself is taking care of your creative energy, because you can eat well, sleep well, exercise well, but if you don't nurture your creative soul well, that's not going to work. So, yeah, I think it's all of that.
We have a lot of ways to take care of ourselves, right? There's so many ways to take care of our mind, our soul, our body, our creative energy. There's a lot going on there. So get busy, people. And everyone should definitely check out your book, New, as you mentioned earlier. It's only in French. So if you read French, check it out. New means we in English, but it's all about connection. And I love the idea. I'm definitely going to check it out. And what other new projects do you have that you want people to know about?
Well, I've got a few, and one of which is next week, but actually it's gonna maybe be too late. I've got some workshops on creativity, so it's all going online on my Instagram, the next workshops I'm doing on creativity. And the big project for 2025 is that I'm gonna turn my book into a show. So it's gonna be a unique collective experience to belong and be more creative together. So that's going to be a show 2025. I still waiting for the date, but it's going to be live this year.
That's super exciting. And where will people be able to watch it?
So you're going to be able to experience it in Paris.
I love it. That's such a great idea to have people come together and live out the book.
Yes, exactly. Because to read it, it's nice. To experience it and live it, it's better.
Definitely better. And coming together, all about that connectionness. And where can people connect and learn more about your work and follow along?
Well, I'm quite connected online. So LinkedIn, so under my name, Caroline Arditti, Arditti, or on Instagram, I've got 3 pages. So the one myself, so Caro _ Arditti, or I'm also a founder of the Paris Ice Club, so Paris Ice Club as well on Instagram, and we are Sunshine Makers, so that's another Instagram page for my company and all my workshops, and it is We Are Sunshine Makers.
I love it. It's such a fun name, Sunshine Makers. And guys, check out the Paris Ice Club. You can do some cold plunges with Caroline. It's super fun if you're in town. And thanks so much for sharing with me today.
Thank you for having me. It was wonderful. And I'm so passionate about creativity that everybody needs to connect to their creative power.
Thanks so much for tuning in to La Vie Creative. You can find more information on MissParisPhoto.com. And if you enjoyed this show, please feel free to share and spread the word for all my creative guests. We have the power to help them to keep doing what they love. See you next time.